my best friend was catfished by my dad. So me and my best friend were kind of just like swiping through Tinder for fun. And then she came across this really, really hot dude. So of course, she swiped right and they talked all night long. And he said he had an Android, so he couldn't FaceTime, but his messages were blue, so I thought something was off. She was too blinded to see that something was up in the first place because she was messaging with a really hot guy. So about a week of them just like texting back and forth and I guess getting to know each other, they decided that they were gonna meet up. So they both decided that they were gonna meet up at an Olive Garden near them. And you see, as her best friend, of course, I'm gonna have to go with her. So I got dressed up and I sat about 5 tables away from her. And we got there about 30 minutes earlier than we were supposed to be there. Okay, so my best friend had 3 bowls of fettuccine alfredo before he got there. So when he got there, it wouldn't look like she ate a lot. Then I see my dad walk in, all dressed up and fancy with a bow tie and everything. This story time just gets so much more funnier, so like for a part 2. Part 2 of how my best friend was catfished by my dad. Continuing with the story, I see my dad walk into the restaurant all dressed up. Mind you, my dad's married. To my mother, of course. So I was like, ooh, my dad and my mom are finally going on a date together. And then he looks over to my best friend and walks over to the table. When I tell you my heart dropped, my heart has never sank so deep inside me so fast. He sits down and asks her, is this Mackenzie? When I tell you I busted out laughing so freaking hard I fell out of my chair. And almost everybody in the restaurant turned around and looked at me, and so did my dad. And I walk over to the table and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? My best friend is literally just sitting there in shock, no emotion on her face. Then he looks at us, he looks really confused, his face goes blank, and then he goes, I was just trying to teach y'all girls a lesson. I told my mom and I was just getting a laugh out of it, and then she looked through his phone and said that he was meeting up with a bunch of 14-year-old girls.
And immediately everybody spots her as a red flag. She's just picking up items, throwing them in her bag, not looking at sizes, not looking at colors. So everybody's like, everyone's on their walkie like, watch this customer. She's coming to the fitting room. She's headed to the cash wrap. Somebody get her. Check her ID. Get her. Get her. She has a bag full of stuff. And guess who gets her at the register? Me. So she comes to my register and she dumps out her stuff, and we're having a regular conversation. Hi, how are you? Yada yada yada. Her total comes up to probably between $700 to $900. It was expensive. My manager is at the register next to me, talking to me on the walkie. Ashley, make sure you get that ID. Don't matter what she's using, make sure you get that ID. So I ask her for the ID because she's paying credit. Why do you need to ask for my ID? Just take it, run it. I'm like, no ma'am, I'm sorry, I need your ID for the purchase. She starts to raise her voice at me. So she's raising her voice at me, and I'm like, but I just couldn't, y'all. So I was like, I can raise my voice too. Do you want to play this game? Because I'll win, promise. And she's like, oh, well, what time do you get off work? And I'm like, I'm closing, I'm actually getting off at 11. Would you like to pick me up? And then she calls me stupid. She's like, you're fucking stupid. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna eat that. Then she calls me a dumb bitch. Whew. So I took a deep breath. And I said, fuck you, you dumbass bitch. Your broke ass can't even afford these motherfucking clothes, and you over here trying to scam me. Fuck off my line. And honestly, me and her just started going back and forth at each other like, My manager's like, go to the back, go to the back, go to the back. I'm still cursing her out as I'm walking to the back of the store. I really thought I would get fired, but I actually didn't.
Story time. My parents found out that I was dating a white boy. So a little background information. My parents are super strict, especially my dad. And on top of that, my dad thought that races should not mix. One of his sayings was, you don't see a blue jay fucking a pigeon.